almost everybody I've met in Mars and outside Mars, the first value proposition they come up with doesn't work. And that's great, because that means it's a learning experience. These are 4 companies that came out of Mars's advisory services: Acadiate, Raise Your Flag, Sojo, and MJKO Boxing. I worked with these guys, and they are all making money. They have not scaled into ginormous companies yet, but they're all making money. So what that suggests is they have found a value proposition that works with a particular target market. Now, almost everybody I've met in Mars and outside Mars, the first value proposition they come up with doesn't work. And that's great, because that means it's a learning experience. You test that on people. They tell you what they don't like. They tell you what they do like. They tell you I don't get it. And a good entrepreneur is self-reflexive. So they say, OK, what can I learn from that? What words can I change? How can I go back and try it again? A good entrepreneur is not defensive and saying to the person, well, you just don't get it. Or, you just don't understand. Let me explain it more. Right? Don't explain it more. Ask them more questions. Ask them to say, why? Is that important to you? Why don't you like that word? What does that word conjure for you? Right? You're pulling information from people. You're not pushing. So let's start with Acadiate. Zane is the CEO of Acadiate. You'll see a video from him in just 1 second. That is Zane's Twitter handle, @Acadiate. Zane is on Twitter right now, tracking the ENT101 hashtag. So if you have a question for Zane after you see this video, or if you want to get in touch with him, ping him on Twitter. Right? You can do that right now. They've all agreed that they will be around to answer some questions. Right? These are real entrepreneurs who have been through the grinder more than once, and they're going to talk a little bit about how their value proposition changed from the first version they had to the version they have now that is actually making money.
Hello, my name is Zane Westmoreland, and I'm the founder at Acadiate. Thanks, Joe, for asking me about our value proposition and how it's changed over the years. Our first value prop was around student branding and helping students be more effective at getting into the first job after school. And we pitched the value to schools, and there's obviously a lot of value to schools in seeing students get great jobs and being able to take their education and get their return on their investment. But we weren't getting any orders from schools, and it was a very frustrating period because all the schools we were talking to, they all loved what we were doing, they all saw the value, but we weren't getting the orders. So one of the things we did learn about education, especially here in Canada, is they're very polite. No one wants to break your heart or hurt your feelings. So what they do is you get a whole bunch of maybes, and that's the most dangerous thing, I think, for a startup, because you really don't know what you're doing wrong. So fast forward a couple years, we've since learned where the issues are. We've noticed that it's really about administrative time for the people we were selling to. The value was there. They just they were already overworked. They had enough projects. They just didn't see how administratively they'd be able to deliver it out to students. So that was a problem that we had to solve, and we fixed it in our second value proposition by introducing a largely untapped resource to schools, which is their alumni through mentorship. So a lot of the things that administrators would usually do, we can now, with Acadiate, they can offset that and pass it on to mentors who are largely volunteers, so they can provide the students with the value while maintaining their current workload and not have to do anything additional on top of it. So I hope that gave a little insight into how our value proposition has changed, and it's been a little bit longer for us than we would have liked, but a long learning period, and the key is to not get too stuck on any one idea, and to evolve as educators tell you or don't tell you what they want to see. So thank you, and have a great day, everyone.
So here's Acadiate's first value proposition circa 2012. Acadiate has created a student branding tool for college students. that results in appealing student portfolios, earlier preparation for the job market, and greater school access to the way students are branding themselves. So they were selling this to college students, kind of like an online portfolio to show what you can do connected to the school that will then increase your prospects of getting jobs. Nobody bought it, right? They had good, like, yeah, that's cool, I would love that. But they didn't get the orders they were hoping. So they pivoted. They changed, they kept the same kind of long-term goals of helping the employment gap, but they changed their target market and they changed the value proposition. So now they talk about Acadiate has a career development platform for post-secondary educators. So their target market has changed. They're not selling directly to the students, they're selling to the professors at post-secondary institutions. That results in better student branding and job applications, more accessible and career-relevant mentorships, because they pull in the alumni to mentor people, and less administrative overhead with the platform they use. So they've changed the target market, they've changed the values, but their core product and the core values they have as a company remain the same. The change they want to see in the world is the same. They're just changing their tactics. My Sojo. Okay, this is, you'll hear from AJ. Her Twitter handle is @my_Sojo. Let's hear from her, what she has to say about her evaluating value prop, and you can tweet her online and see what she has to say.
Hey Joe, so this is my video about how Sojo's value proposition has changed over the years. So when we first started, our value prop was about being a website that would help inspire and empower and connect young people to social entrepreneurship. And over the years, it has evolved to be about teaching and educating social entrepreneurs, and our product has evolved from a website to an actual training platform. And so the evolution of that came about from a number of things. First, when we started Sojo, our goal was to impact and empower young people, to make them feel like they could take problems into their own hands, create solutions, and pursue social entrepreneurship as a career path. So after a few months, maybe close to a year of building this website, aggregating content from all around the web, finding the most inspirational stories we could, we started doing some serious reflection onto how much impact we were actually having. And we found that not nearly the number of people were viewing the website that we were hoping for, and as people would come visit it, they wouldn't stay or engage with the content in any meaningful sort of way. And so we knew that we weren't having the impact, we weren't sort of changing people or affecting people the way we wanted to. We also had no idea how we were ever going to make money off of it. But one thing that we did see as we were doing that, testing it, talking to people, was that people wanted more than inspiration. They wanted guidance, they wanted direction, and they were turning to educators who really didn't know how to give them what they needed. So from those insights, we started to pivot our product, explore the education market, and decided ultimately to turn our product into a training platform that we could then license and sell to educators.
Value prop number one. So this would have been about 2013. Sojo has created thesojo.net, a website for young people curious about social entrepreneurship that results in more inspired, empowered, and connected individuals who are prepared to turn their ideas into action. So it's a pretty clearly stated value proposition, but, and this will connect to what you're talking about next week, there was no solid business model around that. Circa 2015, Sojo has created the MySojo project-based learning platform for educators teaching social entrepreneurship. That results in better project outcomes, data-driven insights into student learning, and lower program delivery costs to larger numbers of students. So there's a clearer value prop for those teachers teaching social entrepreneurship. So, and actually, so that's actually parallels Acadiate's. Instead of going direct to consumer, they went to the professors and teachers who had influence on those people. MJKO, boxing. This is a really interesting story. The woman you're about to meet was a professional boxer. There's a documentary about her through the National Film Board because she's had a crazy life. And this is her new thing, and she's been at it for so long, circa 2010. Well, she'll talk about her value prop, and then we'll unpack it.
Hi guys, my name is Miranda Kamal, and I am the co-founder of Mentoring Juniors Kids Organization, MJKO. In a nutshell, we use non-contact boxing to teach life skills. As you see, I have two little furry friends with me. This is Tyson and Evander. Whatever I do, they do. One of the benefits of being an entrepreneur. Thank you so much, Joe, for having me, and I'll just quickly get right to it. So, I guess what was my value proposition when we started MJKO? So originally, I'll just read it right off the paper. Mentoring Juniors Kids Organization has created sports leadership training in a safe and caring environment for intermediate and senior high school students that resulted in healthy living, character building, commitment to community, and empowerment. So a lot of the words and I guess the terminology in this first statement was due to our, goal of our biggest client being the Toronto District School Board. I guess what's changed from then until now is we no longer believe, we had focused so much time and energy into landing the Toronto District School Board. I feel like in some senses it almost crippled MJKO, and as soon as we stopped just focusing on that one thing, that's when things changed, and they changed quite quickly in a snowball effect. So where are we now? Mentoring Juniors Kids Organization has created mentoring and leadership training using the sport of non-contact boxing for youth living in Toronto's priority neighborhoods that resulted in increased free opportunities in sport, more active and engaged youth, and an increase in the number of youth coaches being increase in the number of youth coaches being certified, helping to build capacity within the sport and recreation sector. So one of the biggest things you'll notice between the first one and the second one is the word non-contact boxing. When we first started MJKO, we were so afraid to tell anyone, I guess, we were boxing, because a lot of people thought we were taking bad kids and teaching them how to fight, which was never what we were doing. So we invented the term non-contact boxing, which I'm proud to say has now become a very common term in the boxing industry, and for people that are trying to follow, I guess, in MJKO's footsteps. Non-contact boxing is now a thing where not only the majority of the public and the fitness industry understands, but also the media. So I guess one of the other biggest things you'll see difference, I guess, between A and B was who was our client. Originally, when we started, we thought our client was going to be grades 8 and up. And after working in that age group and as well pitching to the Toronto District School Board, we still learned some things, even though it was frustrating working with the school board. But what we learned is that grade 8 and up is a little too late for us to really create the community champions that we're looking for. The media is your friend. You know, you got to know the people, the cameraman by name. You got to know the reporter by name. You got to send a thank you card. These are the things that MJKO has done, and that's why the media, they love us. You know, we get media attention at almost every single one of our events. We almost get too much media attention, but it's because the small things, the same thing we're trying to sell, which is creating community champions, we try to live and breathe that every day. So, you know, with that said, if there's anything I can ever do to help any of you guys, check out my website, mjko.ca. My information is on there, as well as Joe has it, and I'll be more than happy to help, and I wish you guys all the very best success in your program. You have an amazing supporter with Joe, and yeah, if you need anything else, let me know. Thank you. Oh, and follow me on Twitter, MJKO Boxing. Okay, bye!
So if you want to ask Miranda a question, ping her right now, MJKO, at MJKO Boxing. She's on Twitter. So her first value proposition talked about creating sports leadership training in a safe and caring environment for intermediate and senior high school students that results in health, character building, commitment to community, and empowerment. Now, they've created mentoring and leadership training using the sport of non-contact boxing. And she talked about how important it was to call that out. Sports and leadership training was too vague. They needed to talk about exactly what their differentiating factor is. And it's this idea that you can, all the benefits of learning how to box, except actually hurting somebody. For youth living in Toronto's priority neighborhoods. So they were being hamstrung by the school district and by the structures of schools, so they went outside the school walls and went straight to find youth in priority neighborhoods. More active, engaged youth, increased number of certified youth coaches, helping to build capacity in the sport and recreation sector. Raise your flag. Ryan Porter, at Lunch Buddy, with an underscore there. Let's hear from him.
Hello, hello, hello from me and my beard. I'm Ryan Porter. I am the founder and CEO of Raise Your Flag. Raise Your Flag is careers for young people who are not going off to university or college. Joe Wilson and I were talking and he asked me to explain a little bit about how our value proposition has changed from version 1 to version 2. Quick little synopsis. Version 1 of the product was made for guidance counselors. To help their young people who were not going to university or college come up with some goals and a plan, and they could monitor their students who weren't going to university or college. And with that version of the product, we're actually making kind of 3 major assumptions. Well, much more than 3, but 3 major assumptions. Assumption number 1, we assumed that guidance counselors were actually interested in solving that problem. Assumption number 2, we assumed that it was a problem that they would pay to solve, and assumption number 3 is that it was a problem that they would pay quickly to solve. And none of those things were necessarily true. I'm not trying to say guidance counselors aren't trying to solve that problem, but I am saying that the assumption that they would pay for something like that and that they would do so quickly was way off. And the way we reached that understanding and epiphany is by doing a bunch of customer interviews, sitting these potential users or potential customers down in a room and talking to them about the product, asking them questions about it, asking them questions about their current situation, and learning really quickly that what we were building needs to be for the end user, which is the students. And so we ended up pivoting the product, and now we connect these young people who don't have degrees or diplomas directly to companies who offer employment and positions that don't require a degree or diploma. I could talk about value proposition and how it changed for quite a long time, but Joe is going to do a great job talking about this tonight. Listen to him. He is very smart. If you have any questions for me, it's Ryan at Raise Your Flag. Enjoy, guys. Good night.
Raise Your Flag has created a career planning platform for guidance counselors to help students not going to university or college that results in goal-oriented, engaged students, better job prospects for them, and data for the schools to track the engagement of those kids. 2 or 3 years later, Raise Your Flag has created a career development marketing platform for companies looking to employ young people without degrees or diplomas that results in lower turnover or churn, more engaged employees, and reduced HR costs. So the value is for the employer. It's for Canadian Tire, it's for Starbucks, it's for the Canadian military, it's for Air Canada, who hire tons of people who don't necessarily have a degree or a diploma, but they want to encourage these kids to find a pathway through that company so that eventually they can own their own Starbucks store, or eventually they can be a manager, in baggage handling, so that they can, be in a position that they like and navigate through that world. It's possible. Lots of people do it. But some of these kids are so dejected that they didn't get into university, because that's pretty much the only standard of measure we have for success for kids when they graduate. And Ryan is on a mission to fix that. So ping Ryan on Twitter right now, @lunchbuddy with an underscore in the middle. So I'm just going to end by making 2 references here and 2 recommendations. The first is this book, Value Proposition Design by Alex Osterwalder. This is a follow-up to his first book, which is called Business Model Design. And this is the business model canvas you'll see next week with Mark. Has anybody seen this template before? Yeah, okay, good. It's the best business framework I've ever seen. And this new book plugs right into it. So if you can see the little canvas on the top, what he's done is he's created what he calls the value proposition canvas that plugs in to 2 of those boxes, the value proposition box and the target customer box. So he unpacks the pain points that that specific customer feels, and then how you can use words to explain that you can alleviate that pain for them, or that you can bring them gain. It's a great book. I won't go through all of these things. I just want to give you a taste of what's in it. He talks about rapid prototyping your ideas, keeping them visual, keeping them fast. 10 characteristics of great value propositions. He talks about focusing on pains that people have in their lives and things they want fixed. Instead of trying to sell them the thing that you want to sell them the thing that is missing from their life. It sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't do that. One of the important messages of this piece is the idea that you don't need to be the best in every single dimension of value, right? If you have higher quality stuff that saves people time, you don't also have to be the cheapest. Right? People will often say, like, we're the cheapest, we're the best, we're the highest quality, we're the lowest hassle, we customize everything, and they've got 10 things that they claim they can do better than anybody. You just need one or two to stand out from the pack. Focus on those. Focus on the ones that are most important to your target market, and do those really well, and forget about the rest.